Morning, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the Flubcast. I appreciate all the feedback I'm getting, all the phone calls. I know a lot of people are still a little worried to put their name out there, and that's never a problem. If you have anything to share, you can always send it to me confidentially, and we could always discuss. I'm always open, I'm not always right, so I appreciate anything. So today's episode is maybe going to be the most challenging because I have no doubt that I will probably say some of the things that may ruffle some feathers or might upset some people. But I'm putting myself out there because I think it's important, especially with our small fraternity where everybody involved is a stakeholder. And we have social media, and it's too easy to share information for when things go on. So every time we have, let's say, a tournament doesn't go well, or a person, like let's say they had the big fight with the defense force earlier this year, people need to be told what happened and what was the decision making process and why did things work out the way they are. It can't just be they show up and they just see people are back and it's like, well, did anything happen? It leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. So it's all well and good that we have behind the door closed sessions, which I think are vital, but it's also important that we speak. And again, I am not always correct, and I invite anybody for anything I will inevitably get wrong in this episode to please chime in. If you send me something, I'll post it. If you leave a comment, I will include our message in the next episode. Or, I mean, again, I only have, 50 followers, so it's not like I'm changing the world, but I think it's important, little step by little step, okay? So today's episode is going to be very tough. We're going to be talking about what happened with the Youth Commonwealth Games in Tobago from my perspective. And again, do I have everything marked down to a T? No, but sometimes perception leaves a lot to the reality. I know I messed up that as well. But basically what I'm saying by that is there's a lot of talk. People could pretend people aren't talking, but people talk, and instead of it just being behind everybody's back, let's lay it out and get the facts down so we know how to improve and what we could do better in the future. Okay, so before I begin, I would just like to again say that I think that a lot of people made a lot of sacrifices, and we could not have done it without the amazing volunteer work and the participation of so many people who took time off work, paid expenses to fly across, stay there, give up so much of their time and effort and stuff. And the main thing, at least what my main goal was, to say, well, I want Trinidad and Tobago to utilize this opportunity to show World Rugby and like Commonwealth Games that look at what our little fraternity could do and host an international tournament, because that is what it was. It was teams that have been practicing for a year, and they got their best athletes, and like, let's say Fiji and stuff, who had to travel for like 40 hours to get there, and they have their friends and family back home. This is a showpiece for them and for their careers, because they're going to be moving on to higher honours. South African, Scottish people, they're looking for clubs, and this was vital for them as a showpiece. And we had the opportunity to say, we're going to put it up there, and we do a high quality, and you could trust us to throw a big tournament, so please come again in the future. So I do think a lot of people worked very, very hard, but we had some shortcomings and we had some huge successes. So first, I want to just emphasize again that I'm very actually proud of our Trinidad ref team that went across there. And why am I proud of them? It couldn't have been easy. Everybody has, besides wanting TNT Rugby to do very well, everybody has personal goals. A lot of them train very hard. They've been reffing a lot of our tournaments and whatnot. And when they went across there, yes, they got to stay in an incredible chalet and got meals prepared and everything. But you would have wanted to have a bigger role. A lot of them were only allowed to do in-goal area work. Was it a successful kick and everything? And I have no doubt they were disappointed, but they took everything with grace. They worked hard. I saw them getting some of the other international referees water, bringing it into the room, helping out, keeping the vibe positive. And that is really what it's all about, is we are a team. And sometimes, unfortunately, our star isn't going to shine, but that doesn't mean we can't assist pushing the overall goal. And I think they worked very, very well. And that's with some of the volunteers as well. Geico, who spent the entire day in the sun, getting scores, shouting out everything. He worked like a beast. Kali, Sherry, all these people under the tents there, it was like hornets working around. And I could call a ton. But one of the boys I really wanted to highlight was Jovan, who worked there keeping data under one of the tents. he literally sat under there. He missed out a lot of the action because he's just doing day to week for all 3 days. And I was very proud to see him do that. He was one of the under 19 players who unfortunately got injured, ripped his ACL maybe 2 years ago, but he has kept in the fraternities, assisted in various things. So I'm just very, very proud of a lot of people who went there and really showed the best of what we could do and show assistance, and in very challenging circumstances, which we'll get to. They really tried to push a positive energy and vibe, and anything they could help with, they did. So congratulations to those people. Now, do I have all the information? No. Am I hoping that people correct all of us? Because again, everybody's just talking behind backs and stuff, that it's only going to fester negativity. Let's lay everything on the table. So basically, I could just tell you what my experience was and what I believed, and hopefully I'll be corrected. So as part of the commentary team, we were told instantly, of course, that listen, if y'all are doing this, it's completely voluntary. You're not going to get a place to stay. You're not going to get a stipend for food. You're not going to get a car and everything like that. And we said, no problem. It was going to be a team of Kelson, Maria, myself, and Leah Kintiba. And I was very honored that, they would allow me to come and be a part of this team. We were going to have, 10,000 people tuning in from all over the world and stuff, and they were going to trust me with that responsibility. I'm sure they were a little worried, and hopefully they weren't too disappointed. But we were going across there, so we was going to start on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So the goal was to go across there on Saturday and start organizing. Now, I'm a very nervousy person, so for weeks, I would be writing different people to try to get a little bit more information. I believe the coordinator of the event was a lady called Shari John. I'm not exactly sure what her title was, but I know she had a big role to play. And of course, Maria Thomas, who was the president, and luckily she was on the commentary team as well. And I would, try to hit messages, try to call, say, listen, shouldn't we be getting any more information on the teams? Like, where are we meeting on the morning of? Where do I get my uniform? And unfortunately, they were all incredibly busy as well. So it was very difficult for them to get back to me or comment, or maybe in some cases they didn't know under pressure. So it really was, I showed up on a Saturday, and I was one of the first people there. So I said, well, let me go down to the field and take a look and see if I could get any information. So when I went to the field that day, they obviously marked the field before and then opted to change the pitch. So they were massive holes. It almost looked like a drain or a canal going through the pitch. Obviously they painted the field, and then somebody came and cut it, so there was no real paint job anymore. It was I was looking and I said, wait, now there's no electricity here. Somebody tents in place, but no chairs are put out. So I was asked by Shari, could I go and help put out tables and chairs? Luckily, when I went, I was swarmed with some other things, and somebody under 19s came across and helped me. Thank God for them. I don't know what I would have done. That was like Khan and Valet and Alexandro and different. They came and helped. So I was there, and I was like, well, where do I go? Like, what do I get? I don't even have a pass to enter the next day. So in typical fashion, I kind of just went across to the main building, where they had no security for anything. I know they had volunteers who were supposed to be in charge, but people were just walking past them doing whatever. So I just walked in, and I'm pretty confident they thought I was a member of the volleyball team for the Australians. And I just walked through like 3 different passages, and eventually I reached in a back room, and a person was like, what the hell are you doing here? I said, oh, I'm part of this team, and they need me to collect these volunteer shirts, and we need passes and stuff. So they said, well, all right, if they sent you from the front, I mean, the only way you could have got in is if you had all these passes and accreditation. So I got, not just for myself, I got jerseys for the rest of the team. I got 4 jerseys and pants and all the kits and the bag and got the accreditation. So I called them and said, look, don't worry, guys, I got everything. I said, where are we meeting to do it? And basically, I just got it kind of mapped out that, we'll meet up there basically in the morning, more or less. I think we had one quick little discussion beforehand. We're going to meet up on the morning of, and we're going to hit it head on. Let's say it starts at 9. Let's try to be there at 7. So we're all, of course, a little nervous because we have no information on the players yet. I know Kelson, of course, sent out sheets to get all the players' names and stuff. And people are from Fiji and Kenya. So usually what happens is apparently they would send you little notes of how to pronounce the names, but we didn't have anything. So I kind of knew it was like, oh, we're in some pressure here, because it's not like international rugby where you could Google players and teams and you'd get everything. It just wasn't available, and it had me very nervous, as expected. So I offered to pick up Leah in the mornings, which I had no problem doing. I kind of realized we were under pressure, so I said, Leah, let's stop and pick up some pens and paper and everything so we have something to write. And we arrived on the morning day of the Sunday, and we could tell, say, this is a problem. And when we arrived, there was nothing really. There was no signs to tell anybody what to do, where to go, where they're going to be based, or anything. So everybody's kind of running around to say, well, wait now, this tournament is starting in an hour and a half. What's going on? Where are we supposed to go? And we could tell that there was some big tension. And unfortunately, we never really got to the bottom of it. But obviously, there was a little bit of a rift between some of the coordinating organization with Maria and Shari John. And both of them, understandably, are very stressed. But, if they're in the positions of authority and power and everybody needs information, it's not our fault. We are just trying to help, and we were told to come across. And we're trying to talk to people, and everybody's just not talking to each other, not able to communicate, and it really was causing an issue. So it reached a stage basically where it's gonna start kicking off in an hour. So Kelson kind of took a leadership and went down, and even though there was no power, basically found the guy who was doing the actual stream, and no cameras up at this point, but he was able to say, okay, well, what if we pull like 2 microphones under one of the camera stations, and we'll set up in there. So I ran and I got like a table, I got like 4 chairs. I say, okay, well, if we set up here now, how will you set up? There was no monitor, so we have no idea what's showing. We don't know if they're doing a replay, we don't know if they're cutting. And because we weren't next to the production tent, it also meant that we couldn't tell him to, hey, is the volume on or off? So you'd have to get up and walk down, and it wasn't too easy. And of course, it's like, oh, the tournament is supposed to kick off now in 15 minutes. But then we realized, even though teams were warming up, so let's say Scotland was warming up, it obviously wasn't going to start because there was no power. There was nothing, IRB, this is something that I was hearing them talk about in the NED. There was a very good chance the tournament was going to be called off because they filled all the holes with like sand. But then like a bunch of the touchline poles were like PVC wrapped in something which they were not comfortable about. There was a lot of issues. So everybody was very, very stressed. Eventually, like, because I had on a volunteer shirt, the Scottish ladies physio came up to me because they were training now for like 20 minutes in that heat. And she's like, what's going on? What's going on? We're supposed to be kicking off in 10 minutes and stuff. And I was like, well, ma'am, I'm very sorry. I'm actually not in charge of that. And she was livid, and rightly so, because they have everything down to a science. And they're getting no information. Their boys are training. Now she has to get them warmed down to then get back involved. And everybody, there's a real tension, But luckily, as I'm saying, some of the groups, like the referees, kept it very positive. They kept it going. And eventually it was decided that there's going to be a 2-hour delay. So they had people come in and set up electricity for the monitors. Now, unfortunately, they had all these cooling fans all around the field, and the ones by the fans, by the supporters, by the open, just where they're going to just sit down in the sun, basically, to just bake. They were supposed to have coolers, but somebody forget the power cord, so you can't put that there and blah, blah. So those people just ate the insanity of heat that was passed in there for the entire tournament, which I don't think was too well received, but they kept the positive energy. So it eventually started, and again, we had no information. So it reached a stage basically where there was a very, very nice lady from World Rugby who helped for the Iran tournament. I believe her name is Ryan, and I'm mispronouncing it, from Cayman Islands. And she was in charge of so many things. And she was basically, she didn't even get a tent. She asked for one, but she didn't get one. And she was put literally to sit in the sun. And she was in charge of like all the sightings, all the team lists, conversion notes, who scored, and people walking past with umbrellas blocking her. Oh, that woman had a time, but she was just so nice and positive. And she let us take pictures of the team sheets that we were able to then make notes of and just kind of work with that. So how it then worked basically was it decided day one. We said, look, we are behind the 8 ball. We have no information. So how we're really working it is day 1 and 2 are going to be basically to say, look, we're going to make a lot of mistakes, but by day 3, we are going to have this absolutely perfect. And we say, fine, let's commit to that. And they made the decision to say, okay, Kelson and Maria are going to be doing the play-by-play, and Leah and Robert, you're going to be doing the color. Now, I have to admit, I was very, very scared by that, because in usual circumstances, color is fine if you have lots of information or experience and stuff. And the play-by-play to me is very easy because, you're going left, you're going right, you pick up, you can really just call. So I asked the question to basically say, well, guys, is there any situation for maybe, especially, let's say some of the games with Fiji or Kenya and stuff, that maybe I could do the play-by-play, which might have come across selfish. I could understand why they got a little cross. Because you all have the experience in these tournaments, you all have done commentary work, a ton of it, and you all actually know how a lot of these things work. You all have played actually bigger tournaments than me, and you all could kind of come in a lot more regularly and chime in. But they felt a lot more comfortable doing the play-by-play, so Leah and I did the commentary. So I was doing the men, and Leah did the ladies. And I wouldn't say we definitely have a lot of work to do, but I thought it came off reasonably well. And the nice thing was that after day 1, I had a little bit more information. So going into day 2, because now I've seen the athletes play a full day, you're able to start chiming in. And what would happen basically is, during the ladies' games, I would run down and start making notes to be prepared for the next game, which kind of helped out as well. But it kind of was a problem where, well, actually, there was one issue as well where I was a little rude and I had to apologize to somebody, where the production guy was under the tent, so we were trying to get him to turn on the volume, turn off the volume, but of course he is very busy and focused on his work, so we would be like waving and stuff, and every time we'd have to run out. So eventually I kind of clapped my hand to try to get his attention, and he perceived it as me being rude. So I instantly, at first I took like a 5 seconds of being angry, and then I said, look, I'm not going to let this ruin everything. I went and apologized profusely. I said, I'll buy you a beer, and every day afterwards I'll go and harass him, and by the end of the tournament we were laughing, we were fine, because I apologized and I put my tail between the legs, and that's how it works, right? So anyway, day 3 reaches and we're about to go and kick off. We're coming in and I'm told, guys, by Kelson and them, they made the decision to say, guys, we're changing it up today. Flub, you're going to be doing the girls, and Leah, you're going to be doing the boys. So now this is something where I am a person who when I'm asking a question, I'm not doing it to be subordinate or disrespectful, but we're a team. And yes, you're the team leader, but I'm just asking a question because I don't know. I've never done this. This is my first tournament, and I would just like some guidance. So I asked the question to say, well, guys, I have now made notes on all these players, and I haven't really been watching the girls play as much because I would be trying to make notes and stuff. And now I'm basically going to go back to day 1, and it's the whole narrative was that I'm going to build up and learn and get information so that when we're in the final, we have it down. And I've made all these notes, I'm so ready to go and prepare. And that was kind of interpreted, I think, by Maria as me being subordinate, and she started to get a little cross, in my opinion. Maybe that's just how she was communicating back. So again, take everything I'm saying with a huge grain of salt. And because of everything that was going on with Shari and my frustration, not getting information and not being able to communicate to both of them, and they wouldn't really talk to each other, which was insane because it's a tournament that's running. It would have been so easy if one of them just went up to the other one and said, listen, I know we're not happy with each other and we could discuss this after the fact, but we're in the middle of an international tournament. Let's put our pettiness aside. Let's go out for a food later or something and map it out so that when we come here tomorrow, we'll organize. And if at the end you want to call me whatever, no big deal. But right now, let's do what's best for TNT Rugby in this tournament. It has to be. We can't mess this up. This is Trinidad and Tobago's only opportunity. We can't lose this. We can't lose this. But Maria, in my opinion, got a little cross with me. And I made the comment to say, is it possible, that you don't have another tantrum and we could just discuss it? And was that rude? Yes. Was it wrong of me? Yes. And she got very upset and she kind of stormed off a little bit. So first thing I had to do was apologize to the rest of the commentary team and say, look, guys, I don't want to kill the last day. Let's keep the positive energy going. I'm really sorry. And I apologized to Maria. I don't think she was fully receptive, but again, she had a lot going on. And throughout the day, I would kind of try to apologize. And again, when everybody was doing their stuff, I felt like I was a team player. Like I'd be trying to get team people water. I went and got us lunch one of the days. Am I perfect? Definitely not. Am I weird? But I am just doing, when I ask a question, I'm not telling you, you're a piece of shit, you don't know anything. I'm literally just saying, I am not sure. I'm brand new to this. I could use some guidance. And you've made a decision, which I'm not 100% in agreement with. Do you mind just at easing my are easing me mentally by helping explain your reasoning behind this. Okay, so eventually they would tell me, oh well, we don't want the men who need to do the men's games. The girls only, that's a bad look. And I was just like, well, guys, surely you all recognize that from day one. I mean, I'm just doing what the narrative is. But anyway, in the end, that's what was decided. And in the end, I was able to even commentate and do a play-by-play for one of the games, which was the ladies' bronze medal match between Fiji and Kenya, which I'm actually pretty proud of. I thought Leah and I did a decent job. I would love your feedback if anybody has a chance to check that out. I would super appreciate any feedback. And of course, the finals went to Maria and Kelson, which made sense to me. I said, well, you guys have all the experience. Just let me know what I could do to help, if y'all, and at first it was kind of, they would say, oh, y'all would chime in, y'all would have this kind of ability to say y'all commentated. We didn't, but that's fine. It's understandable. It makes sense. The best people should get to do it. But in the end, I think that we really have to see one or two things. In fact, one other thing that was absolutely shambolic was in the finals. So if you got the run sheet from the people who did it, right, you would see that they had noted their time. They want everything down to a second. So they have time for people to walk on the field, the two teams, and national anthem is 2 minutes. Now, anybody who knows anything would say, well, to walk on the field, let's say that's 20 seconds. Let's give it 30 seconds. And then each of the anthems is a minute. So there's no way that we would be able to stay in the timeline for it to work. Now, what do we do is halfway through these people's national anthems, we just cut it. The Fiji players who were there playing for their country were livid, not angry. Scotland was angry and they sang on and they looked at us in disgust and stuff. But Fiji were absolutely livid. And I just think it's just these little silly things where we shoot ourselves in the foot that I will not understand. But overall, everybody was able to pull it together, and in the end it came off, and a lot of the teams and supporters seemed to have a great time. Did that mean we did things perfect? Definitely not. We have a lot to work on, and I'm very excited to see when we have the final breakdown what everybody's opinion is. So does this mean I hate certain people? No. Does this mean I want certain people out of certain positions? No. I just want it now to say, look, this is how it was perceived, not just by me. Trust me, a lot of people were talking to me, and hopefully the people could come together and say, right, we really need to make sure that in the future, even when things are not going our way or we're nothing, that we put the tournament first, we put all egos aside, and if we can't do that, we don't have a chance with anything. So please feel free to message. I'm sorry if I missed out mentioning you in this video. I am really proud of how things ended up, but talking to some of the people in the end, they did say, like, well, from the day one antics where a lot of the apparently World Rugby people, this is just again rumor and innuendo, they basically said, I don't think we could probably do a tournament to this magnitude in TNT and trust it to work out. So a little disappointing. I know that a lot of people were not happy with how some of the camera work was done as well, where in some of the corners it wasn't captured properly and whatnot. So lots of feedback to get. Again, why am I doing this? Am I doing it to throw people under the bus? No. Doing it just because the best disinfectant is sunlight. And if this means that, well, Flub did this, so therefore we can't ever have him involved with anything with commentary again or TNT Rugby, well, I'm sorry that's how everybody feels. Again, I thought Kelson did a great job. I thought he really pulled it together. I thought when Maria got on the mic, I thought she did great, and a lot of people said she was fantastic. And Leah, stepped up to the plate. She was very nervous day one, and I thought she worked really hard. You should saw she had like a whole copybook just of notes, and she was really doing her best. And again, we're all just volunteers, so that's what I could say. So hopefully we'll all learn from this experience and we'll push forward. And again, next up is Ruggarama. It'll be interesting to see how we work towards that, what we just do for our tournaments within our country. So please hit me some feedback. Please correct me wherever. And I hope that we could all put this, let water go under the bridge and learn. And you know I was going to be right, as I said, when I messed up on the day several times, I was trying to find back the person and say, listen, I apologize. This is how I process what happened. Do you want to, tell me what you're thinking? Maybe I could help correct. And some people were very receptive to it, and some people were not receptive to it, and it left things a little difficult. And I mean, again, let me just say, the commentary team, we didn't get any stipends, we didn't get any. So I paid for a car, I asked people to sleep on their couch, we paid for a lot of food, like breakfast. In the end, we ended up getting one or two things, but it wasn't easy. But I'm thankful we did it, and I hope we did our country proud, even though I know it didn't come out how everybody hoped, and for that I apologize. So thank you all for tuning in. A very long episode, but I think it's good where we at least plant the flag in the public forum somewhere, and I await to be corrected. And please know I don't want anybody to get in trouble, but I think I refuse to let things never be discussed and just get pushed under the carpet. Let's do it, okay, guys? So please feel free to touch base with me, or call me, or message me, or send me a video, and I'll put it up. All the best. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.